Hello, can everybody hear me? Can everyone hear me? I knew that we needed to start right away. I'm a little bit behind. Oh, wow. 1 second. And I'm actually getting an update on what we're going to talk about right now. So just 1 second. We're gonna follow a press conference together on a case that Hidden True Crime has been following from the very beginning outside of Excelsior Springs, Missouri, about a woman who escaped a man. She escaped his basement torture chamber room in his house, ran for help, and was able to get help from a neighbor. Hidden True Crime has been following this from the very beginning. We have not brought you a lot recently because police have been so tight-lipped. So for those new to this case, this happened. The woman escaped in October of 2022. So just in October. And to catch everybody up on this case, I want to share a video, a News Nation report where I talked of the case. It's really important that we're all caught up. And then I'm going to share with you the most recent information we have all before this press conference starts. And while this News Nation report plays, I'm going to find out the latest information I just got. There's so much information coming down. Timothy Hazlitt Jr. is behind bars for kidnapping and raping this woman who escaped. She said that there were other victims. I'm really curious about the substantial, that was the word they used, substantial developments in the case today that they're going to share. They have not done a press conference since Timothy Hazlitt was arrested. So we're really interested in what is going to happen today. Let me play this case, get everybody caught up, and then we'll watch this press conference together.
Something horrible happened in Excelsior Springs, and that horrible let itself out into the neighborhood. Accusations that a man was holding at least one woman in a torture chamber in his basement, and when she got free, she ran to the neighbors. I said that neighbor is Lisa Johnson, and she was joining us for her very first television interview. We're having a problem with her connection right now. We're still working on it. And also with me is Lauren Matthias, who is the host of the Hidden True Crime podcast, who has been working on this story as well. So while we're working on Lisa's connection, Lauren, tell me a little bit about the condition that this woman was in when she showed up at that neighbor's door.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Lisa was so wonderful. The woman ran to Lisa and Lisa called 911. And then the woman actually went to Sierra Tharp's home. I interviewed Sierra Tharp, and Sierra Tharp told me that the woman came to her door. She had duct tape around her neck. She was wearing a dog collar with a padlock on her neck that she couldn't get off. The police actually had to get that off. That she was emaciated, she was starving, she was wearing latex and a trash bag, was hardly wearing anything. That Sierra's grandmother gave her a blanket as well as muffins that she just devoured while they waited for police to arrive to help.
I know that some of the details say that Lisa, did a quick scan and thought she looked to be about 70 pounds and that she also looked as though she was dehydrated and she could barely whisper. She said it was extremely soft when she said, "Help me." But just clear up for me, Lisa Johnson is the first neighbor who encounters this woman on her doorstep. And as I understand it, she said, "I'm going to call 911 right away." And that terrified this woman who said, "He'll kill us. He'll kill us all if you do that." And then she ran to another neighbor?
That is what Lisa has said. But according to Sierra Tharp, when she arrived at her door, she said, help me, call 911, which they then did. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. And then she actually also said, my other friends didn't make it. They were murdered. And this is according to Sierra Tharp in an interview with me the day after they rescued her. They took her in. And the reason she was whispering, Lisa is absolutely right, because she had ligature marks on her neck, and police could not get the collar off until they unlocked it, and it was restricting her breathing. It was that taut. It was that tight. Yeah. And she had apparent physical injuries all over her back, where the probable cause actually states that she was whipped while in this torture chamber, homemade torture chamber.
And I think that's one of the descriptions that the latex that she was wearing had cuts in it, and that the witness described saying she had no idea how you could make those cuts. They didn't come from being hit. They were lashes, open wounds on her arm. Is it assumed that the lashes were from the whippings, or were there other injuries as well from other forms of torture?
According to the probable cause, she said that she had been whipped several times and they could see the marks all over her body. And then they did state in the probable cause she was indeed whipped. She had explained that she had been raped multiple times, beaten, and she was clearly starved, according to Lisa's account, that she was perhaps 70 pounds. This is a 22-year-old woman. So that's shocking to hear that Lisa thought that she looked about 70 pounds and that she did devour. I mean, think about that too, devouring muffins while having your, restricted breathing. She was that hungry, and that she had been, my word is torture. That's not from the probable cause, but I'll say it. It seemed to be that she had been tortured for about a month, because she said that she had been taken at the beginning of September.
Oh. So she also mentioned that two of her friends had been killed by this man. Timothy Hazlitt is her accusation. So curious about the police activity at the home and what they've found, because they have not said, to my knowledge, that they've discovered human remains of these two other young women.
Right. They have not said that they have found evidence of other victims, but they haven't said that they have not found evidence of other victims. And what's fascinating is that 2 weeks before this woman escaped her captor, Timothy Hazlitt Jr., Bishop Tony Caldwell from the Kansas City metro area went on TikTok and said, there is a serial killer targeting Black women in our neighborhood. The Kansas City Defender shared that information, and other local papers, as well as the Kansas City police, shot that down so quickly. They said this is absolutely unfounded. 2 weeks later, this woman, she was a Black woman, she escaped this house, this basement dungeon that he had made. For the probable cause says he made this basement bedroom where she was kept. And she stated to Sierra Tharp, my other friends didn't make it. And then police, as well as the FBI and other agencies, were at this property with cadaver dogs and multiple people for 3 days. They concluded their investigation by putting that chain link fence around the house that you see there. That's put up by the city. That wasn't there before, as well as boarded up his entire residence. They have not stated. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, Lauren, about, I think I read that there might have been some blue barrels that were at this residence that are no longer at this residence. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, there were probably about a dozen blue barrels that you could see them taking out of the yard and out of the house. And I'll say, I don't know if there were any in the house, but during the search, you could see several outside of the house. And there's actually video of a cadaver dog hitting on one of those blue barrels. They haven't shared what is in those blue barrels. We don't know, but it's very peculiar. And Home Depot employees in Excelsior Springs did state that he came in often. Timothy Hazlitt came in often. He was not employed at this time. He hadn't been working for about 3 years, but he was a frequent visitor at Home Depot. He had these blue barrels, and then he also worked on cars, and neighbors reported many tow truck visits to the house as well. And then they also mentioned
they reported that he was a recluse who never opened his garage all the way. I have to leave it there, Lauren, but let's continue to follow this to see what comes out of it. Such a disturbing story, and I'm so sorry that we couldn't get Lisa Johnson's connection up. We tried all the way through for the last 20 minutes, and it's just the bugaboos of live TV. But thank you, Lauren. Really appreciate you helping us through this.
So hopefully that will remind those that we're following this case earlier. And for those new to this case, you're pretty much caught up. But we do have a link to the playlist, the Hidden True Crime playlist. We've done numerous interviews with neighbors, fellow journalists, and other people that knew Timothy Hazlitt, and the playlist link is in the description of this video. This press conference with the Clay County prosecutor is about to start. It says it's 2 minutes away. So let me share with you a couple new developments since that News Nation report that I haven't shared here yet, Police have been looking for a woman, actually. Numerous billboards from locals have cited this photo of them really looking for this woman. Her name is Janie Crosdale, and numerous billboards around the states, both Missouri and Kansas, have her photo asking for information. Police have stated that they believe she might be a witness to the crimes. Here is her picture. But this is what's interesting about her. One second. I'll pull this up here. Here's what's interesting, though, about Janie Crosdale is that we have checked into her numerous social media accounts, and she has not used them in a very long time. She is a missing woman, in other words. Let me show you this photo right here. Here she is. So police aren't stating anything about her except that they believe that she is a witness to these crimes, but no one can find her. So I'm going to say, this is me saying it, that she seems to be missing. No one can get a hold of her or contact her, and we don't know the latest. We don't know if police have found her. We don't know why they're looking for her. I'm curious to know if they found her DNA, honestly. I'm going to throw that out there. I don't know. I do not know. I have talked to numerous people when it comes to this case, journalists, fellow journalists, neighbors. I've been in touch and have continued to be in touch with neighbors of this case, as well as other additional sources very close to this case and these crimes. Nobody knows where she is. Nobody. That's probably the biggest update they've brought us since October, honestly. Let me stop sharing this. All right, there we go. Let's check if this is beginning. Okay, we're waiting now for him. It is scheduled to begin right now. So let me refresh this page and make sure it's not starting and we don't know that. Okay, so it's not starting yet. So while we wait for this press conference to begin, any minute now, any minute, I want to share a few other things. And actually, let me pull this up so we don't miss it. I will. One second. Share my screen. Right. The Excelsior Citizen, a local paper. This is their YouTube page. They've been following this closely. We appreciate their work. The Kansas City Defender is another one that's been following it closely, and they are the ones that reported on Bishop Caldwell's statements about Black women missing from the Kansas City area that nobody listened to and local papers did dismiss. Let's see if I can make this bigger. I guess I can't enlarge it until it begins.
I want to begin by saying my thoughts and prayers go out to those affected by this case. Today, the grand jurors of Clay County, Missouri indicted the defendant, Timothy Marion Hazlitt, on 9 felony counts. In count 1, rape in the first degree. In counts 2, 3, 4, and 5, sodomy in the first degree. In count 6, kidnapping in the first degree. In count 7 and 8, assault in the second degree. And in count 9, endangering the welfare of a child. The judge has set the defendant's bond at $3 million. The case will be heard next on February 17th at 9 o'clock in Division 4 of the Clay County Courthouse. If the defendant is found guilty of all of these offenses, he faces up to 5 life sentences and 36 years incarceration in the Missouri Department of Corrections. The defendant is presumed innocent until he's found guilty in the court of law. The charge of an offense is not evidence of guilt. We would not be here today if not for the bravery of one woman and the tireless efforts of the men and women of 16 different agencies. They are the Excelsior Springs Police Department, the Clay County Sheriff's Office, the Gladstone Police Department, the Liberty Police Department, the North Kansas City Police Department, Smithville Police Department, the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, the FBI, the Heart of America Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory, the Missouri State Highway Patrol, Missouri Information Analysis Center, the Missouri Department of Conservation, Missouri State Technical Assistance Team, Missouri Search and Rescue, the Ray County Sheriff's Office, and the Department of Homeland Security. These public servants have followed up on over 100 separate leads. They have sought and obtained search warrants and investigative subpoenas. Collectively, they have spent over 1,200 hours investigating this case. Nevertheless, the investigation continues. If you or anyone you know has information related to this case, please contact the Excelsior Springs, Missouri Police Department or the TIPS hotline. If you or anyone you know has information concerning the whereabouts of potential witness Jeannie Crosdale, please contact the Excelsior Springs Police Department or the TIPS hotline. Because this indictment is now public information, if anyone present would like an electronic copy, they can contact our office. I will also be providing a copy of a release from the Excelsior Springs Police Department that contains instructions about how someone with information about the whereabouts of potential witness Jeannie Crosdale can contact law enforcement. This is an open case. This is an ongoing investigation. I am very limited about what I can discuss. I can say that in Missouri, the proceedings of a grand jury are private and cannot be discussed in public under state law. I can also say that a grand jury's job is to determine if there's enough information available for a case to move forward. With that being said, I can answer a few questions.
Sir, are all these charges for the one victim or are there multiple victims?
So the information available will be on the indictment, and it will answer your question as to whether or not there is more than one victim.
Can you tell us, just go ahead and tell us now and get it approved?
In count 9, there's endangering the welfare of a child.
So that child might be a victim as well.
So what I can say is that the charge of an offense is not evidence of guilt. There is in count 9 information that the state is alleging that the defendant is guilty of the endangering the welfare of a child, unrelated to the previous counts.
Is there a notice that this is ongoing and that there has been, hours and hours of investigation that have gone into this? I think one thing that's on many community members' minds is, at this point, with the investigation to this point, do you believe there are other victims other than what's in the grand jury indictment?
So my goal in this whole process is to get justice for those affected by the case and for our community. In order to do that, I have to protect the integrity of the process, so I cannot comment on the details of an ongoing investigation in an open case.
Like, why are you so passionate about this case? Why has this case caused you to come out and have a press conference today?
This case, like any other in Clay County, is one where we seek to get justice for our community members. And in this case, we felt it was important to let the public know about the indictment of Timothy Haslett.
You mentioned the one grade woman who brought this information forward. Do we know about, her current well-being, and has she been in contact with the prosecutor's office to be able to assist them?
So I can't comment about the details of the prosecution. I can say that it is our goal to achieve a justice in this case.
Do you believe Ms. Crosdale is a victim as well?
So we believe, based on the way the investigation is going so far, that she may have information relevant to the case. And that's all I can say about that.
She's missing right now.
I know that the Excelsior Springs Police Department put out a press release asking for anyone with information about her whereabouts to contact law enforcement. Law enforcement to this point has not had contact with her, so we are asking that the public help us with any information they have about her whereabouts.
Is there an official missing persons report for her?
That would be a question for the investigation aspect of that.
Are any other witnesses like Ms. Crosdale being actively sought at this time?
I can't comment on the details of the investigation beyond what I've said already about if anyone with information about Ms. Crosdale's whereabouts to please contact Excelsior Springs Police Department. And that being said, if anyone has any further questions, please submit them to my public information officer, Mr. Higginbotham. He's right over there. you can send them an email and we'll do our best to answer any questions that you have.
Why should people continue to care about this case? Like, why should people really care about this case moving forward to continue to give you tips?
I think anytime something like this happens in our community, it's our responsibility as a community to make sure that justice is served.
And just as a point of clarification, so the 17th, is that a preliminary hearing? Is that how would you describe the next time this case is in front of the judge?
I would describe it as a docket call.
And then the prelim that was set for the 24th is no longer taking place, and this
Correct.
indictment supersedes those previous charges.
Correct.
So there are 9 charges total.
Yes, ma'am.
And as far as Ms. Crossdale, do you think the billboards had anything to do with why she might not be coming forward, or why she be hesitant?
I can't speculate on that. I wouldn't know. All right. Thank you for your time. And if anybody has any additional questions, they can submit them to Mr. Higginbotham. Also, he's available to take your information if you would like an electronic copy of the indictment. Thank you.
I was hoping that we would hear more today. We did learn a good amount. I think the most interesting thing is the count 9 in the indictment. They mentioned that there's an additional charge, endangerment and welfare of a child. That's the additional charge. Interestingly, we don't know who that is. My first thought was it was Timothy's son that was in the house with him, that was living there. So I'm going to assume that endangerment of a child is his son, but I guess we can't be certain. So I'm interested to get my hands on the indictment. As soon as we do get the indictment, it looks like we'll be able to get that fairly soon. There's an electronic copy going around. We'll post that here and everyone can read that. Interestingly enough, though, they answered that when asked if there were other victims, and they used the endangerment of a child as answering that question. But I think what we're all wondering is, were there other women that were kidnapped, and were there other women that he held hostage, that he killed? Is Timothy Hazlitt a serial killer? I think that's what the question was asking. I'm grateful that they've added this additional charge to his arrest. It'll be interesting that we also learned there's a grand jury. But they brought up Janie Crosdale, which we had just discussed. And Janie, they're still looking for her. They still have not found her. So I'm going to go back to my original suspicion when it comes to Janie Crosdale. And I'm going to also pull up her photo one more time. Let's show this photo one more time of Janie. Janie Crosdale, her face is on numerous billboards. It's been there now for months. Police, they stated in this press conference, they are still looking for her. So while they do not call her missing or endangered, I'm going to throw out some speculation. This is speculation. While I have some insider information, I do not have insider information on who Janie is and how she relates to this case. So this is speculation from Lauren, considering the information. There were numerous searches, days of searches at this house and in this property. We know now, this is some information we have, that there were 3 blue plastic barrels inside the residence, and there were 3 blue plastic barrels, I believe, outside the residence. There's video circulating of dogs hitting on those barrels. I want to know if they found this woman's DNA. This is speculation, because that would make her a possible witness to a crime. That would also, though, imply that she is a victim. I want to know who this woman is, and I want to know where she is. I'm very concerned that she's not come forward to police and nobody's been able to find her. It's not that she's just running from police. Let me say that we've looked into her social media accounts, and she is not active on any of her accounts. So there's the idea that she could be running from police But at the same time, I want to throw that out that I don't know if anybody's heard from her. We need to learn more about this woman. I don't know why they're looking for her or what information they have. Perhaps it's from the victim who escaped. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they didn't. Speculation. I'll throw that out one more time. But I think that clearly she is a big piece to this puzzle. And I hope that we find this woman, and I hope that she's okay. I'm concerned she's not. Let me share a bit more information, inside information that I haven't shared yet. That's important to this case. Police have obviously, excuse me. Police have obviously been very tight-lipped. I even feel that, this happened at the beginning of October, and now my door's knocking. Hey, John, I'm live. It was Dr. Babe. Police have been obviously very tight-lipped about this case. It happened at the beginning of October 7th, early in the morning when the woman escaped. You would think that this many months later, they would have given us a little bit more. Tell us about what you found on his property. Tell us about what you didn't find. I'm frustrated. So the Excelsior Springs Police Department said in a statement before this press conference that they have been able to unlocate Miss Crosdale, but they believe, again, that she has information to the investigation and has asked her to contact us with more info as soon as possible. So again, those numerous billboards have been cited. I've received photographs of the billboards from locals. We've learned that she had these multiple social media pages and none of them have been updated in a very long time. She seems to have disappeared. So this is some inside info that I've confirmed. When Timothy Hazlitt was arrested, it was originally reported that Timothy had been taking his son to school. Hidden True Crime reported that that was not true and that we had clarified and confirmed that information. It looks like that Hidden True Crime was right, that the woman was told, the victim in this downstairs homemade dungeon, torture chamber, was told that Timothy was taking his son to school. But that's not the case. When Timothy Hazlitt was arrested, he had a vial of urine attached to his leg. According to a couple of sources I have talked to now, it seems as if Timothy Hazlitt was on his way that morning on October 7th to a drug test, which means clearly, we all know what that means, that he had no plans to use his own urine at this drug test. He had stashed somebody else's urine to use. He was not on his way to taking his young son to school. That was reported back in October. But he did, again, it makes sense, tell the woman, the victim, that he was going to be right back. His son's school is very close, so it makes sense that that might be something he tells her to scare her and make her realize he was going to be right back. We have also learned since his arrest that Timothy Hazlitt was fired from his job at the railroad. That's a unionized job. It's a very stable job. It's a job that people have for their life, and they retire from the railroad. But Timothy Hazlitt was fired from there. It does make me wonder if he was trying to find work again, hence the drug test. I'm not sure. That's speculation. It also makes me wonder that he, how he was making money. That's a question. He was not working. It makes me wonder, this is speculation, if he was making money with this woman he held in his basement. I don't know. I'm wondering. Journalists from the Kansas City Defender, again, have uncovered much of Hazlitt's racist past on social media, including a belief that there is a race war and many have shared with me his disdain for women and his misogynistic views on women, his hatred towards women. I have brought these two issues up to other people that I've interviewed that know Timothy Hazlitt, and they confirm this every time, that he was a racist and that he had a disdain towards women. So that's been multiple sources. The probable cause. So this is something that we've learned, a hidden true crime. The probable cause, when we received that after he was arrested, did state that Hazlitt whipped the young woman who escaped his home and that she was malnourished. And I stated that in the News Nation report that I played at the beginning of this video. Well, Hidden True Crime has learned that the victim who escaped, so I stated this to Ashley Banfield, that she looked to be, Sierra Tharp told me she looked to be about 70 pounds. Well, we have learned as a fact that this woman, this victim that escaped, was 70 pounds. She weighed 70 pounds. And that Hazlitt was indeed in possession of a whip, but not just any whip. He was in possession of a bull whip, a whip for a bull in his basement. As I stated earlier, and interesting information that just came down in the indictment, an endangerment and a welfare of a child, that there was a young boy living at Timothy's house. This boy is safe. We know through court records that the boy's mother filed for full custody, as well as a restraining order against Timothy Hazlitt. Well, Timothy Hazlitt has fought the restraining order from his ex-wife from behind bars. He has demanded that he has the right to see his son, that he loves his son, and he claims his ex-wife in court records is a drug addict. I've also spoke to other people that say that. But let's remember that it was Tim who had somebody else's urine attached to his leg, ready to head to a drug test, while he calls his ex-wife a urine, or I guess while he calls his ex-wife an addict, he's the one that has the urine attached to his leg. So there seems to be a lot of contradictions and a lot of projection. Hidden True Crime has obtained that 7-page letter that Timothy Hazlitt wrote, stating that he wants the restraining order dropped. And so I will share that later as well. So when we get the indictment, I'll share that 7-page letter and the indictment. Those are a few things we know right now. And again, we know that there are multiple blue barrels. There's a lot more that we've learned as well, but we can't share everything at this time that we've learned. But a lot of people have been asking about this case, asking if Hidden True Crime plans to continue covering it. Yes, we are. I'll be honest, it's frustrating the limited amount of information coming from law enforcement and from official sources. But we think this is a really important case, and we think there's a lot more hidden that we want to bring to light. So that is the latest on this case. Let's hope for more transparency soon. And I'm grateful for the press conference that was held today. And let's stick with us. We're not gonna let this case go to the side. We're gonna keep covering it, and we're gonna keep discussing it, and we're gonna hope for justice for at least 2 victims now. We know of 2 victims: the woman who escaped his house the morning of October 7th and the endangerment of a child. So, excuse me. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Happy birthday to one of our hidden gems in Australia, Tad. And we hope that everyone has a great Valentine's Day and night. And for those in Australia, we hope that you had a good Valentine's Day already. Everyone, thanks for sticking with us, and we'll keep you posted on this case. We'll see you. Bye-bye.